I'm back here at the Toronto edition of Riot Fest 2014, and for my second interview of the day, we've got Chad from New Found Glory. They've got a brand new record coming out on October 7th called Resurrection. We're going to talk about the longevity of the band and exactly what separates them from some of their more mainstream counterparts. All right, I'm here backstage at Toronto's first expanded Riot Fest with Chad from New Found Glory. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. How are you feeling your set today? It was extremely lively. I think that's like the main thing I can say from that.
Yeah, it was good. It was, 2 in the afternoon. It's a little early for a New Found Glory energetic set, but it was still really fun. The crowd, we had a really big crowd in front of our stage, which was awesome. There was a lot of people who haven't seen us before, which is hard to do being a band for so long. So what is the expanded, what does that mean?
Well, this was like in Toronto, traditionally speaking, Riot Fest has been in a very small little spot at Fort York down by the lake, which is a pretty cool spot. Cool. But this is a lot bigger, certainly, where things like Heavy Toronto and Vel, what was it? Vel, that's something that's happened, like electronic music festivals, other things like this. This is pretty big, so it's definitely expanded.
That's cool. That's good news.
It's matured. Like when you mature, you expand. So it's the same kind of thing.
Like when you get older, you get fatter.
You got it. I got it. That's why it's funny, right?
Yeah.
No, it was good. I wanted to. Speaking of this, sort of leads nicely into. I saw the video for Selfless, and
you thought we were fatter.
Well, yes, exactly. I thought you were extremely large and ugly, and it was terrible. But it was all about like that, looking tough, and then all sort of showing that sort of a facade when bands try to do that. Are you saying anything? Were you saying anything about anyone besides yourself in that when bands take themselves too seriously, or are you just showing that you guys don't?
Well, I think there's like a fine line where you take your music seriously, but you don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Because you have to be grateful for what you do, and you're no better than the next person. I mean, there's a million bands in the world, so I don't know, that was almost making fun of our singer Jordan, who just like, no matter, him just trying to plug in the mic, he just, that was like a happy accident, and we're like, we had to open the video with that because, with New Found Glory, I feel like there is a serious message to the music, but then there's also the undertone of the band, which is, hey, don't take yourself too seriously, which is important to have that message. Like Selfless, the song is basically about being sort of comfortable in life and then knocking yourself out of that comfortable safety zone that you live in and challenging yourself challenging yourself to do more and not like take the easy way out all the time. And that's what Selfless is about. It's funny because the lyric in the chorus is like, I could catch up on my sleep when I die. And it's funny because a lot of people might think it's just about like going out and wrecking havoc and I could sleep whenever, but really, it's about taking that extra step and not like worrying about, yourself.
Living every day like it's my last, I can catch up on my sleep when I die. Aren't you sick of being selfish? I wanna show that I try.
Do you want that to be clear, or when people misinterpret you, is that enjoyable? Is that part of it?
What the lyrics?
Sure, like you said, people perceive that about being about partying. Is that, if people who don't get it, is that funny? Is that part of it?
I think it's however you take it. I think that's the good thing about music is, like there's songs you love that, written about one thing and that's, you know what I'm saying? That's it's good to not put names and faces and stories too hard on your music. That way people can exactly relate them to themselves.
The reason why I sort of focus in on that video is because I've seen a lot of the punk music came out in the 90s and the 2000s. I was speaking with Adam from Taking Back Sunday a minute ago about seeing Dexter Holland at Heavy Montreal a few weeks ago and sounding great, but like seeing this guy with white hair and like really old singing Self-Esteem is kind of funny, and I like the way you guys are sort of presenting yourselves now, and it's not just sort of old guys trying to recreate, my friends over you and stuff like that. And I think that I really like the way you're sort of interpreting the sort of 10 years later kind of situation.
Well, I don't think it's not really something we focus on. It's not like we're like, all right, what do we, but our music is always reflective of of who we are. We write real songs. We don't write songs, let's try to write a catchy song that's going to be famous and popular. We write songs. It just so happened that right now, that there's a lot of big popular pop punk bands again, and that's cool. But if you follow New Found Glory, even when pop punk wasn't as big, we still were being us.
Right.
We still are ourselves. So every record is going to sound different and feel different. I don't think it has anything to do with... I'm still like, I'm 33 years old. I'm not an old person. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't consider ourselves an old band because a lot of our favorite bands, when they first started, were in their 30s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I never
exactly.
think of it like, oh, we're, I think the difference in what people should, what I think comes across, it's not that we're older in the sense, it's that I think there's more value in the things we say. Because where you're an 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid starting in a band and you're like, oh, this song's about my life. Well, you haven't really been through a lot at that point. Now, I'm in my early 30s. We're all in our early 30s. And so it's not like we're old dudes. We're still, like I said, younger than probably most of the bands playing here today in age. But I think there's value in our word and our lyrics where you can be like, all right, these guys have been through some shit.
How do you find that balance between kind of being kind of funny, a little tongue-in-cheek, and showing a bit of humor with the sort of messages that you're trying to put across? Is that delicate?
Well, I don't think. I mean, yes and no. I think look at comedians. They're not saying that we're comedians, but in movies and dark comedies, sometimes you got to have fun with the crap, because that's the only way you get through it is having a good time. And hey, man, that's life. You can't just mope and feel all bad for yourself, or vice versa. Like you can't be all like you just. To me, it's all about us always trying to be real, and you know what I mean. That's just our. Literally, New Found Glory is our personality. That video is our personality. Where I can make a joke to you about something like like we just have that sort of dark, that fun sense of humor, and then that also that. That side to us where we're like, look, we take what we do very seriously. We take our music very seriously. You know what I mean? The writing and everything.
What separates you guys, because you seem to continue to have underground credibility after all these years and so many releases, what separates you from somebody like Green Day, who seems to have started like in a different sort of, a similar, sort of cultural place, but then become this whole other, vehicle? What separates you from a band like that?
Well, Green Day sold like 80 million records. So that's a big separation or something insane. But I don't know, I think that the difference, when our band came up and our message to our fans was, when I was a kid and I watched TV, Green Day was one of my favorite bands and but I liked punk rock. I liked underground punk rock because there was this element of saying like, all right, I don't need a record label. I don't need anything. I'm going to pick up my guitar, write songs with my friends, go to a punk rock club, hardcore show and play. That's how we built our career. That's what we did, right? So I think the difference is with our band is when bands usually have 3 gold albums and sell millions of records, they sort of forget that era and they sort of have a new persona or new thing. And I'm not saying this to Green Day because I think Green Day is the most fucking real band. We toured with them and they totally keep it real. They just happen to write amazing songs that relate to a lot of people. I'm talking about different bands in the sense that I'm talking about our band. And I think your question was, what keeps us grounded with our fans? And I think that we are that inspiration for a kid, where you can be from that world and build your own career and follow and your passion by playing music and actually get somewhere. Not taking the route where you feel like you have to sell your soul and put on some like tight pair of jeans and get a nice haircut to be on a big stage.
Sure.
That's not what it was ever about for us. And I think the fact that after all this time we still carry that message, we inspire every kid that learns how to play a guitar. They could look at our band and be like, oh, I want to do that, and I can do that because I'm just like that person.
So I guess that leads to my last question is, when you're playing in what people would call a pop punk band and you have that passion for the underground hardcore aesthetic, how do you manage to keep that alive inside of you? Because those two, to me, in some way, seem to be a little opposed to each other, but bands like yourself definitely have kept that spirit alive, while being kept. So how do you sort of fit that in there?
You know, well, one, we play music and write songs because it's who we are. It's in us. Where, you know, when we write a song, it's passionate. It has meaning because that's our expression. That's how we can get out our feelings, is our music. But as far as staying grounded and rooted, is, you know, in LA, I live in Los Angeles, and there's an awesome hardcore scene out there. You know, and I produce records when I'm not on tour. You know, I produced the last 2 Terror albums. I produced last Trapped Under Ice album, Alpha and Omega, which are great hardcore bands, and Alpha and Omega is a great hardcore band from LA. And, you know, I go to shows in Southern California all the time, whether they're in like a hall or, you know, there's this great venue called Aladdin Juniors that I think just shut down, and they're like little hardcore venues, and I go with my friends and we go to shows, and I'm, again, like, I can tell you, speak for every member of my band, is no matter where our band has been in our career, we've always kind of stayed the same. You know, we go to shows when we're home, you know what I'm saying, hang out and try to write the best songs we push ourselves to write. That's it.
Chad, I want to thank you so much for speaking to me. Wish you all the best, and do you have any final words today?
I guess the cliche thing, check out our new record, you know. October 7th it comes out. It's called Resurrection, and you need to hear it. You need to listen to it.
Backstage with Chad from Newfound Glory. This is Andrew Epstein for Journal of Musical Things. We'll see you next time.
When they told me you had bad intentions, when they told me